What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Game Night YouTube channel. In today's video, we're covering Trove. This is a multiplayer game, guys, so we're switching it up a little bit. The people over at Head Bonk Games sent me their game Trove to review on the channel, and so here we are, guys. Yeah, this is actually a multiplayer game. It is for 3 to 6 players, I believe. Yeah, 3 to 6 players, ages 12 and up, and it takes about 25 minutes or so to play. Yeah, guys, this is a very interesting little game here. Right off the bat, I really like the artwork. The art style is super, super cool. The black and white art looks really, really nice. And yeah, I believe this is sort of like a, not a trick-taking game, but you're trying to accumulate points, and by the end of the game, you're trying to have more points than the other players. So we're going to go over the game. It's pretty simple from what I've seen so far. I've played it once with some friends. Kind of got the gist of it, so we're going to go over it here, guys. It says, Trove contains all the thrill and excitement of a dungeon crawl's aftermath in a compact and captivating card game. You dive into the mountain of gold before you and uncover the treasures hidden within. It's designed for adventuring parties of 3 to 6 players. Each round lets you assume new roles representing adventurers hired to gather treasure and dodge perilous traps. Split the loot, not the party. So there we go, guys. It comes in this cool little box right here. I have gone ahead and sleeved up my copy of the game, so unfortunately it doesn't fit in the box anymore. So I might need to get like a Deck Pro deck box or something like that to put the rest of the cards in. But this is the contents of the box right here. It also comes with this little accordion style rule book here, and as you can see, there's not much to it. It's got a welcome message, a variant of the game that you can play. It's got some thanks over here where they're thanking different people. By the way, it says it's a game by Jacob and Lauren Lewis. So they are the designers and creators of the game. Yeah, on the other side, here is the rules. That's it. There's a setup, and then it goes over the phases. It shows you the card layout and the win condition, and that is literally it, guys. There's really not much to it. Very, very elegant and simple. So we're going to go over it right now. So the first thing that you can see here is we've got 3 different types of cards. We have these cards right here. It says The Beast Lives. This is for the variant of the game. You can add these into the deck to spice things up, but you don't necessarily need to use these. You can just play the base game without those. So it's kind of like an expansion almost built into the game. Then you've got this big main deck right here. This is the Trove deck. And then over here, you've got the higher deck, which is going to have all of your different adventurers in it. So we're going to go ahead and get the game set up here, guys. So first of all, the objective. You're trying to collect the most points by the end of the game by looting treasure and avoiding traps and curses. That is your goal. You want to collect the most treasure and have the most points by the end of the game. Now for the game setup. We're going to separate the higher cards and the Trove cards. We've already done so. And then we're going to shuffle the higher cards and pick enough for the number of players. Okay, so we're going to set these aside for right now. We're going to say that there's going to be 3 players in this game. Now, obviously, I'm not going to go through a full game, but I'll just kind of show you guys the gist of it here, since it's just me all by my lonesome. So we're going to shuffle up the higher cards. We'll say that, you know, I'm playing with a couple of friends and there's 3 of us. So we would pick 3 higher cards here. And you would lay those out like so. And then the rest of the higher cards, the other adventurers here, you're actually not going to use any of these for the rest of the game. So they would either just go back into the box, or you could just set them off to the side since you won't be using them for the rest of this game. And I want to say right off the bat, it's really cool that there's so many of these different adventurers. So that way, every time you play the game, it's going to be different. You're going to get different combinations of adventurers, and they have different abilities and stuff that'll change the flow of the game and change the gameplay up. So yeah, you'll discard the other ones off to the side. So this is your adventurer pool for the remainder of the game. You're going to shuffle the Trove cards and then lay the deck face down. So we're going to go ahead and shuffle these up. And as mentioned, these are your 3 adventurers for the remainder of this game. These are the ones that you and your friends are going to have access to in this 3-player version of Trove here. So we're going to shuffle up the Trove deck like so. Cool. Now, that is it. We're done with the setup. That is literally it. Now we're going to move into the phases. This is how to play the game. Each game has 6 rounds, and each round consists of 3 phases: a hiring, looting, and skill phase. So you'll have 6 of those rounds where you're hiring, looting, and then activating skills. In phase 1, it's the hiring phase. So during the first round, players take turns choosing an adventurer from the higher deck, starting with the player with the most money on their person. So whoever has the most money on them gets to pick their adventurer first, or if you want to make it, you know, if you don't want to do it that way, you make it more fair. You can play rock, paper, scissors, or roll a dice, or however you guys want to do it. So somebody gets to go first and pick one of their adventurers first. So they're all going to have different abilities. They're all going to have different levels. As you can see, the druid has 11, the pirate's level 8, the minstrel level 3. So we'll just say that we want the druid, and we'll say that Buddy A wants the pirate and Buddy B wants the minstrel. Also, we're not going to be using the Beast Lives cards in this playthrough here, so I'm going to set these off to the side. Cool. So we got Buddy A up this way, Buddy B over here, and myself down this way. Cool. So in later rounds, the player that has the fewest points will pick first. So you're going to pick an adventurer at the start of every round during the higher phase. So after round 1 is done, these 3 adventurers would go back to the pool, and then whoever has the fewest points would get to choose their adventurer. So let's say Buddy A has the fewest points. Maybe they want the druid this time. So yeah, they're going to move around in each round as you play the game, depending on who has the fewest amount of points. They'll get to pick first. And then, of course, you just continue clockwise around the table. So after I pick the druid, Buddy A to my left, clockwise, would get to pick next, so on and so forth. Then we're going to move into phase 2, which is the looting phase. So the player with the most points will draw Trove cards from the top of the deck equal to the number of players plus 1. When you're starting the game and nobody has points yet, it doesn't really matter who. You just go ahead and I guess whoever picked their character first, you can just have them flip over the top. It'll be 4 cards in this case of the Trove deck. Since there's 3 players and then plus 1, you always add 1 card to it, like so. So you're going to lay these cards face up in the center of the table here, and they will act as your loot pool. Now, the loot pool will be refreshed at the start of each looting phase. So much like you'll get to pick an adventurer at the start of every hiring phase each round, at the start of each loot phase, you're going to reveal 4 new loot cards from the Trove deck. Of course, if you're playing with 3 players. If you're playing with the maximum of 6 players, you would reveal 7. You just always add 1 to it, however many players there are plus 1. And then players are going to take turns picking 1 Trove card each, and you're going to start with the player whose hired adventurer has the lowest rank. So in this case, the minstrel up here, his rank is 3, so Buddy B over here would actually get to pick one of these cards first. So you can see there's different ones. We've got the treasure gem. It says add the card to your hand. So you would just add this card to your hand, and it's worth 75 points. Now the red pouch right here is going to show you if you're going to get plus or minus points, and that's what you're trying to accumulate in order to win the game. You're trying to have the most points. Then next to it, we've got this one right here. It says companions. What is this? McGillicuddy? Companions McGillicuddy. It says the more companion cards in your hand, the higher your total score. So you'll see if you have 1 companion in your hand, you get plus 10. If you have 2 companions, it's worth plus 40. And if you have 3 companions, this guy's worth plus 90. So the more companions you have, the more they are worth. Then we've got a relic, the Black Mark Seal. While in your possession, this locks 1 Trove card in your hand from being taken. Use at will, and it's worth 100. So yeah, you could use this to stop your opponent from taking a card in your hand, and you can just use this whenever you'd like. And then last but not least, we've got treasure chest over here, and it's worth plus 100, and it just says that you add this card to your hand. So much like the treasure gem, you would just add this card to your hand, and it's worth points. So some of them are treasure cards that are just strictly worth points. Some of them will be companions. Some of them will be relics, and I believe there are also curses in the deck too that will give you negative points and things of that nature, and will do bad negative things to you. So let's say that the minstrel goes first, and he's like, you know what? I kind of like that relic. It gives me plus 100, and I can use it to block someone from taking a card from my hand. I'm going to scoop that up. So player B over here will take that one, and then it's going to go to me. It'll go clockwise around the table. I think I'm going to scoop up the treasure chest, and then the pirate is going to grab the gem, and the mercenary over here, or the companion rather, McGillicuddy, nobody's going to pick him. We'll just discard him over this way like so. Then we're going to have the skill phase. This is the last phase of the round. Players use their hired adventurer's skill, starting with the player whose adventure has the highest rank. So whenever you're choosing loot cards, the player with the lowest rank will get to choose first, and during the skill portion of the round, the adventurer with the highest rank will get to go first. So in this case, since we've got 11, Buddy A with his pirate has 8, and Buddy B with his minstrel has 3, we get to go first since we have the highest rank. And our Druid's ability is called Nature's Gift. And it says, draw one card from the top of the Trove deck and give one card from your hand to another player. Whoa, okay. So we're going to draw a card from the top of the Trove deck. And it says, a trap has been sprung. The more trap cards in your hand, the lower your total score. So if you've got 1, it gives you minus 10. If you've got 2, it gives you minus 40. And if you have 3 trap cards in your hand, it gives you minus 90. So this isn't a hard decision, right? We can either give away our treasure chest worth 100 points, or we can give away this trap that we just got. So we're going to give away the trap, and we're going to send that over here to the minstrel. So he's going to have negative 10 points right now, which is actually going to bump him from 100 down to 90, putting us in the lead at the end of this round. And then, of course, you would go around the table. So skills can let you draw extra cards, as you just saw. It'll also let you steal from other players. So you might be able to steal cards from their hand, or it'll protect you from curses and traps. And then players may abstain from using their skill by declaring that they are taking a rest. So you don't have to use your skill during the skill phase. You can choose just to rest instead. Then we would move on to the next player clockwise from me. Their ability, Pirate, it says X. Choose one card per round to lock, preventing it from being removed from your hand. So I suppose they'll go ahead and use that on the gem here. And then so that way this card can't be stolen from them. And then the Minstrel has Encore as their ability. Draw one card from the top of the Trove deck. That is really, really powerful. So they can just draw one card, boom, treasure, ornate helm, plus 100, add the card to your hand. Wow. So the Minstrel has a very, very low rank. You know, that kind of hinders him a little bit because he's not going to get to go first during the skill phase. But he's got a very, very powerful skill where he can just draw a card off the top of the deck. Now, it's not always going to work out in your favor. He could have easily drawn a trap, which would have been really bad for him. So it's definitely a gamble. But in this case, it paid off, and he got plus 100 points right there. So that is it. That is the end of the round. So then you're going to shuffle all the used adventurer cards back into the pool and then hire new adventurers. So all 3 of these would go back here into the pool, and then the round would start over with round number 2, and whoever has the most, or the fewest points rather, would get to pick first. So in this case, player A over here, Buddy A, has the fewest points. They would get to choose first. Maybe they want the Minstrel because they want to use this crazy Encore ability. And then maybe Buddy B wants the Druid this round, and then I would end up with the Pirate. So you can see it's going to get mixed around each time depending on how many points each player has in the game. And then the win condition is, of course, after 6 rounds, players will count all value points from their collected Trove cards, and the player with the most points wins. It is that simple. And if there are any ties, there are 3 different ways to break the tie. So first is the most relics. So if anybody is tied, whoever has the most relics in their hand, like this card right here, this black mark seal, it is a relic. The player that has the most relics in their hands in the case of a tie will win the game. If you're tied with points and you're tied with relics, then you move to the least cursed items. So the player that has the least amount of cursed items. There aren't any out on the table at the moment. Let's see if we can find one. Boom, right here. Cursed. Oathbreaker. So let's say that we had this one and we were tied with player B over here. He would win and we had the same amount of relics. He would win the game if I had a cursed item and he didn't. So whoever has the fewest cursed items. If you have the same amount of points, the same amount of relics, and you're tied for cursed items, it's the lowest rank adventurer card hired in the final round. So whoever has the lowest rank adventurer between the tied players would win. So that also is a plus for the Minstrel over here in case he's ever tied with somebody. Like in this case, if there was a 3-way tie right now, the Minstrel would actually win based on his lowest rank right there. And that is literally it, guys. That is Trove. It is so incredibly simple, but it is super, super fun. And there's definitely some little strategy to it. It's cool depending on how many points you have, if you get to go first or last, depending, on what round or what phase it is in the round. So you can, get to choose loot cards from the beginning and maybe try to stick your opponents with some crappy ones that they have to choose from, or using your abilities to steal stuff from them or give them things like you saw earlier. I was able to draw this card with the Druid and then I got to give it away to one of my opponents and really kind of screw them over. So there's going to be a lot of that going on. And it makes the game very, very interesting indeed. And then, of course, last thing I'll mention about the game is the variant with the Beast Lives card. So you can add one or all of the Beast Lives cards to the Trove deck for a variant play, basically. It's sort of like a little mini expansion. Once one of those cards is drawn into your loot pool, the game will end after the final phase of that round. So let's say that, you know, we're playing the same 3-player game here, and we drew these cards, and then you're going to shuffle, you know, as many of these as you want. You're going to shuffle them into the Trove deck. So once one of them gets drawn out into the loot pool here, after that round is over, after all the phases of that round are over, the game will end. So just keep that in mind. And then you're going to follow the new win condition described on the card. And if multiple cards are drawn into the same loot pool, the first card drawn is the one that you're going to actually use. So in this case, if you happen to draw, let's say you happen to draw 2 of these, you're going to use the Beast Lives card that you drew into the loot pool as the win condition. In this case, it's Messenger. Win condition altered. Do not be afraid. The adventure with the most relics wins. So it just changes the whole win condition. It's like not even about points anymore. When the messenger comes, it's just whoever has the most relics is going to win the game. So these cards, the Beast Lives cards, will change up the win condition for you and definitely spice up the game. And there are 6 of these right here that you can use to add to your Trove deck if you would like to use those to spice things up. So there it is, guys. That is Trove right there, dudes. Very, very cool little multiplayer game. If you guys are interested in this, I will leave a link down in the description so that you can go pick up your own copy of Trove. And yeah, if you've got some buddies that you want to play the game with, I highly, highly recommend it, guys. So there it is. This is all the stuff you get right here. Once again, boom, you get the little rule book as well. And of course, you get the box right here. So there it is, dudes. Trove. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Be sure to like the video. Be sure to subscribe. Click the red subscribe button and click the bell to stay notified every time I upload brand new videos. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'll have more playthroughs of solo player games coming soon. Hey, and maybe even some more videos for some multiplayer games. Definitely leave some suggestions down below in the comments. If you know of any cool multiplayer games that you would want me to feature on the channel, I would love to do that for you guys. So thank you so much for watching. Have a good one, guys. And until next time, I'll see you in the next video.